Carlos Ramirez, owner of NVS Audio in Roselle, New Jersey. So we're testing the EVO PS by Sound Digital. It is the weather-resistant power sports amplifier version of the EVOX. So this is the 800.4 EVO PS. PS stands for power sport. And this is it next to the standard, industry standard 800.4 EVOX. It is by far our best-selling amplifier. Every bike we do usually gets one or two of these. It's reliable, small, powerful. So they've made it a little bit wider, and it's exactly a 1/4 inch taller. So there's the two next to each other. It's literally just that hump taller. And that's how much wider it is than the EVOX 800. So I knew the amp was going to do rated power because they sent me the prototype, and I've been playing with the prototype since last year. There was a couple of changes, and somehow they figured out how to squeeze more power out of the amplifier. Where'd my prototype go off to? So there's the one I wasn't allowed to talk about. Been kicking around since last year. It was a prototype. So they, as always, the Sound Digital amps do overrated power. Solid amplifiers tested it. So I was concerned about how they were going to handle waterproofing it. And I actually took this amplifier apart. There's actually seals, there's gaskets on the inside. And to make it simple, they put rubber boots on the RCA jacks that you're not using. So if you want to make sure that this stays weatherproof, I would recommend a marine rated RCA jack. So once you remove the boot, it keeps it nice and sealed up. So for gain adjustments, you remove the boot like that, do your adjustment, and make sure the boot is seated. During my water test, I actually got water inside the amp because I didn't realize that I'd knocked that one off, and the amp kept playing. I was really impressed. I shook a bunch of water out of the amplifier, and it still plays. Don't recommend doing that at home. So same thing for the filter switch. Oh yeah, there's definitely water inside this amplifier. You could tell there's condensation on the inside of the boot, but the amp still plays. That other little boot go off too. This one I left off during the test. Let's throw that back on there. I got Diago messaging me. We've been talking back and forth. Eager to know how well the amplifier did during the test. So it did really, really well. So I already have a bunch of customers reaching out to me about these amplifiers. They want to be sure because they're a little leery about installing these, even though we've never had water issue with these, because what people don't realize is on the road glides, it goes under the radio. So if anything's going to get wet, it's the radio that's going to get wet. And in the street glides, it does go above the radio, but if your fairing seals properly, or if you use one of the water-resistant covers from 309, water will not land on the amplifier. But if you want absolute peace of mind, this is it. This is a solution. So you get Sound Digital performance with the peace of mind of knowing that it's weatherproof. We tested it. It does overrated power like every Sound Digital amp does. And to be fair, we tested it at a couple of different tones. So you'd probably never, especially on a bike, you would never use an 800.4 to run a subwoofer and play it down to 40 hertz. Most bikes get mid-bass drivers and they play from between 50, 60, 70 to 500 or 1,000. But we tested it at 40 and it did overrated power. So what more could you ask for? An amplifier that is weather resistant, does overrated power, doesn't overheat, and sounds good doing it, and fits almost anywhere. So 2 thumbs up. Glad I'm a dealer for these guys. These guys build excellent product and stand behind their product. So another great product from Sound Digital. If you guys have any questions, just reach out to me, email me. Everybody keeps asking. Diego said these amps are on their way in. He said the first container has already left the factory, so we should be seeing these before the end of the month. They're definitely going to sell out. Reach out to your local dealer and get your order in, because we're probably halfway through our initial order just with pre-orders. So solid product. You know, I wouldn't say it is unless it was. I've tested it live in front of you guys and it did really well. So that's a Sound Digital EVO PS for power sports. Hey, in this line they have 800.1, 800.4, 1200.4, and 2000.4. That's in the EVO PS line. So it's identical to the EVOX line, except the 2404 is a 2000.4 in the power sports line. All the other part numbers are the same, and there is no 400.4 for now. Thanks, hope this helps. Talk to you guys later. Okay, we have the amplifier bridge, 8-gauge power and ground inputs, our test woofer. We're gonna start with a 40 hertz tone.
40 hertz.
Averaging 440, 450 watts RMS. And that's playing low bass. Let's try
100 hertz.
Alright, we're gonna soak it pretty good and see if it holds up. You gotta remember, these amps are not waterproof. They're weather resistant, so they can get splashed. You can't submerge it, but so it could take rain, it could take splashes, it could take mud. But I'm gonna soak it and see what happens. So it's hooked up, it's playing. Now that's more water than this amp should ever see in a lifetime. Now to prove that it's this amp that's playing, let me start the track over. So I just want to prove that it's this amp that's playing. So it just went out. Back on. So once again, Sound Digital builds a product that does overrated power. I'd say that's weatherproof. Got it nice and soaked.